Love that.
Very excited.
Well, then do I just say that over is modified, or do I?
No, but we'll get it.
But in the.
How should I, do I need to say anything about it being modified?
Yeah, the motion will have to be subject to modification. We'll just need an explanation on the record. Modification is do the motion subject to that modification, and then we'll make it.
This was from the sleep last.
That's the new stuff.
I think on the subordinate.
There you go.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Village President Hawkins.
Here.
Ms. Bruning.
Here.
Ms. Danahay.
Here.
Mr. Danlaw. Here. Mr. Morgan.
Present.
Ms. Whirl.
Here.
Ms. Weedle.
Present.
Is there a motion for approval for minutes dated September 5th, 2023?
I'll make that motion. I move to approve the minutes from September 5th, 2023, as they were presented.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve previous meeting minutes from September 5th. Motion made by Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
seconded by Ms. Danahay.
Yes.
Ms. Bruning.
Yes.
Mr. Danlaw.
Yes.
Ms. Whirl.
I was not there, so I'm saying.
Yes.
Yes, abstain.
And Ms. Weedle.
Yes.
I don't think we have any public comments, right?
I do not have anything listed here now.
We have a motion for approval for bills for payment and approval for payroll.
Yes, I'd like to move to approve bill for payment dated September 1st, 2023, from the corporate general fund in the amount of $2,395.36. This is the amount that we did not pass at the last meeting, and we sent out clarification to everybody that listed how the money was charged basically to the Elon credit card company. And this is the amount that we did
Can
not.
we get that again? 2000.
$2,395.36. Also dated, dated September 14th, 2023, from the corporate general fund, the amount of $13,118.71. Also dated September 14th, from the FEST fund, $5,540. And I also moved to approve payroll ending September 7th, 2023, in the amount of $17,742.93. Ending September 15th, 2023, a stipend of $2,400.
I'll second. I have questions.
Yep.
On the best account for the first one, ADF Entertainment for 350. Was that DJ? That was, yes, Friday night, yes. Okay, we didn't vote on that. Okay. So. I mean, you're the one that said that we had to vote for every single thing, every single change for. Right, that's when it was gonna be a board putting it on or a committee, and then everyone dropped out. We didn't want to do anything. Okay, but still, you have to bring it to the board for a vote, spending the money. For the fest, it was going on. I had said it in the fest meeting, we were doing it, so. I'm sorry if you weren't at the last meeting, but that's was said.
And
We don't make those votes at the fest meeting.
How do we handle something like that that wasn't brought? to
She
the
can
board?
elect to not vote on that line item. And then other people can vote on it.
It's up for approval now. It's legally permissible to ratify it after the fact. If there's a reason to have it approved beforehand in the future, that's different, but you can approve it now. And it's up, that's what it's on the agenda for.
I have a question. So if they don't approve it, he just doesn't get paid for his time?
You would have to take that into account. That could create issues. I would have to look at the actual nature of the expenses and whatever else happened. You could have a claim for the money.
So to clarify this a little more, the expenditures that the village or the trustees don't vote on, is that acceptable? I mean, if we
I guess
spend
so.
money and as a group, we don't vote to okay it. I mean, that's the idea of having a village board, isn't it?
I guess I'm not understanding the question. It's on the agenda for approval tonight. If your point is that it should have been approved beforehand, that's something that can be addressed. But in this particular instance, it's being voted on. That's what you're voting on today. If the services have already been incurred and the village chooses not to pay, that could create issues. I don't think that's the most prudent way to proceed, but there isn't any legal issue with, it's not create a problem legally to approve them after the fact that I'm saying beforehand.
So would the person who actually went ahead and approved it on their own be responsible for it?
Personally responsible? No.
Is this setting like can we continue to operate this way as a village board where we as board members don't have a say in what can be purchased and what cannot without board approval or brought to the board in advance? Things at a committee level should be brought to the board. And apparently that committee level was not brought to the board's attention. I think is that fair in saying that?
I tend to agree with you, yes. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question from a legal perspective. Prudentially, yes, that makes sense.
So as a group, if we don't bring to a vote anything that we're gonna make purchases or whatever, then how do we handle it? I mean, I understand this person who provided the service can come back and sue the village because they provided the service and now we refuse to pay them. But before this even happens, don't we need to bring to a vote? That's why there's a village board.
And again, I think what you're doing is kind of skirting the issue. I mean, we buy gravel and stuff. We don't approve each gravel purchase. We do that after the fact because it's in the line item in the budget. I mean, basically the fest did consider the DJ and kind of said yes. So we didn't bring it to the board.
Well, we voted for,
We voted for the other ones and that's really good.
yes,
And I think that that's the way it should be.
but isn't that the way we should handle all of it?
Again,
Because where's the cutoff that it's okay to do this, but not okay to do that? I mean, you could make purchases and. Go ahead, Susie. Oh,
You can finish.
you can make purchases up to a certain point, or you can. I mean, we're not talking about gravel or, I understand they're not gonna come and say, could I buy a truckload of gravel? But at some point, we would have to come to the village board because the gravel now there is in the budget, it says gravel, so he could spend that. So I don't think he really has to come and say, could I spend money on gravel that's in there? But if you bought or if you rented a tent or you provided a service, even though there's fest money, which is donated money, you would still have to ask approval of the village board and say, this is what I would like to do. Just like buying a sign, I would like to buy the sign. Is it okay if I buy this? Do I have your approval to do that?
and I think generally that's what we want to do. I mean, really, we approved all the other things, we approved the tent, approved the, portable toilets, all that stuff.
We didn't
talked
vote, we
about-
just agreed on it.
We agreed on this, but yeah, some of those things we did actually vote on in the board meeting. I think what you're saying is that probably is the better way to do it. But in this case, it didn't happen. And this is one maybe exception to it. But generally speaking, I think you're right. I think something unusual like these things should be brought up.
Well, I think it would resolve any misunderstanding because everybody on the board would know ahead of time that we agreed at this date to purchase or rent or buy these items instead of doing it and after the fact talking about it because it's already a done deal. And as the village attorney states, if we, since a service was provided and we refuse to pay, now we're subject to being sued because we received the service, but now we're saying we're not gonna pay you. So we could have avoided that issue by bringing this up earlier, I think. Did I?
Yes, you're correct.
All right, thank you.
And I think, if necessary, we can look at, I apologize, I wasn't prepared for this issue. I don't know if you have a written purchasing policy already on the books, as many municipalities do, that dictate what sorts of purchases can be made at the administrative level, what sorts of purchases and type of levels need to be taken to the board beforehand. As I noted, there's nothing illegal or inappropriate about ratifying a purchase or a contract after the fact, but obviously there is the possibility that ratification doesn't occur and that creates problems. So in an effort to avoid that in the future, the board would like us to put some kind of policy together, assuming there isn't one on the books already, that is something we can look at.
All right, thank you.
Other questions?
So the only issue is the DJ. I didn't get approval for decorations, banners and other stuff, but the DJ is the issue for whatever reason. Correct?
No, all of it is a.
Well, that's not what she said, Susie. She said the DJ is the issue,
And-
right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
had raised my hand.
Okay, I didn't see you and I
Okay,
didn't say Susie.
yeah, I was going to bring up the other items also, that's why I raised my hand.
I think it would have been resolved if Ben would have took responsibility for the fest committee at the beginning, like he should have. Being voted in by the residents and, being assigned a committee that he had no issues doing, so. I think that would have
Well,
been probably the best way to go about it, but.
I think the best way to go about it is to tell the whole story. On June 20th, we had a festival meeting. And I had
And I
met,
offered help to you, Ben,
And
and you said,
let
take
me-
it, I'll do the car.
let me finish, please. So I outlined what we were gonna do, and when the meeting was over with, you had a different way that you were gonna do the fest. And actually, that day, you violated the Open Meetings Act.
Okay,
So you couldn't deny it, but, we did have a plan for the fest. No one said we weren't gonna do a fest.
okay.
It was
Cause
a
I believe
well,
in the minutes stated, I'm not sure what, you specifically said you weren't gonna do this.
and I have the minutes here if you'd like to see them saying that you were gonna make no changes, so. I met with another trustee, we outlined that day what we were gonna do in
We're
the
taking
meeting.
a vote right now on the bill for payment, I believe. Scott,
Okay. Motion to approve the following bills for payment. September 1st, date, general fund, $2,395.36. September 14th, date, general fund, $13,118.71. September 14th, date, fest fund, $5,540 even. Payroll ending September 7th in the amount of $17,742.93. And September 15th date for a stipend of $2,400 even. Motion is made by Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
seconded by Ms. Bruni.
yes,
Ms. Danahay,
I approved everything except for the $350 from the fest account.
Mr. Detloff,
Yes.
Ms. Worrell, Ms. Weedle.
I approve everything except for that 350 for the best account.
Department report. Sorry. Did you have something else?
No, just so noted, accepting.
Clerk Scott Dillman?
I don't have any.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to your father for his awesome training skills over the fest weekend.
He had a blast doing it.
I saw it on his face. Attorneys, Mike Sansky. Thank you. Engineers report, Neil Piggish. I did get an email confirming our application for the park went in. You'll see in your packets, that is what we did approve for the smaller amounts. I believe it was $250. I'm not sure. It has all the plans on it and everything that we officially applied for on that. We will have a date. They will announce the dates of recipients by December 15th for that grant. Ordinances Insurance Committee, Miss Susie Weedle.
Yes, ordinance number 0-8-23-2. An ordinance amending the salary and other compensation for all appointed officers and employees of the Village of Grant Park, Illinois for the fiscal year 2023 to 2024. I would like to approve, subject to modification of part-time community cleaning, center cleaning from $20 per hour to $20 per session.
A second. What is that? Oh, you were done. So don't-
Okay, Susie, just,
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna, assume your motion was through, we're gonna have to make a change to send it back to you.
Susie, just a minor correction there, letter O, starting with not number.
Did I say 0?
Yes.
I'm sorry, O
Okay.
for ordinance. Thanks, Scott.
Okay. Ordinance O-8-23-2, this will be the second reading. Amending the salary and other compensation for all appointed officers and employees of the Village of Grant Park, Illinois for the fiscal year 23-24, subject to the modification from $20 per hour to $20 per session. Motion is made by Ms. Weedle,
Yes.
seconded by Ms. Danahay,
Yes.
Ms. Bruni,
Yes.
Mr. Detloff,
Yes.
Mr. Morgan.
Yes.
Mr. Work, Ms. Work.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Streets and Alleys Committee Chairman Sylvia Danahay.
Only thing I have really is, that there is 2 Mondays left for brush pickup. That's gonna be September 25th and October 2nd. Actually, I do have something else. Forgot about. We received a complaint. Got the dates, I'm sorry, I have it on my phone. Basically, somebody complaining about trash pickup after the fest. I did go on my bike and look, I didn't see anything, but I don't know if Steve had already addressed the situation, so I just wanted to put that out there, but I didn't see. Yeah. So that was it.
Thank you, ma'am.
What does leaf pickup start?
Sorry, that's fire.
Sometime in October, I don't have the exact dates.
We gotta call first. It's
Yeah,
the
that-
first Monday, it's the third, I think it's not like November, first Monday, first of November.
If it's the same one I heard about, it was because candy was still laying in their parkway
Oh,
from being thrown out.
Before that weekend.
Like 5-minute pickup, they didn't want to do.
That's all I have.
thank you, ma'am. Are they done spray patching by any chance? Or,
Are they done spray patching?
Thank you. Finance Chairman Committee, Mr. Gary Morgan.
Sure, Mike and I talked with Cindy Barrett, a week or so ago about the ongoing application for TIF from KC's Custom Detail. And Mike came up with a couple of things that they want to ask him for, and we've since emailed him with those requests. And we're just waiting for him to respond. Again, we sent you, or gave you at least, what Cindy Barrett's, report was it last meeting, so we're moving ahead with it, but turn on his shoulders right now.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's wait on them, right?
Yep. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Buildings and Grounds Committee Chairman, Ms. Rutherford. Nothing to report. Oh, I'm sorry, community outreach. I apologize. Community outreach, Mr. Benda.
The car show that we had was a big success. And this is not to do with community outreach, but I guess it is. I had met with Piggish Engineering on Wednesday, September 13th. The landscaper and R&R Construction concerning some issues out there. When they put the initial asphalt down, they used the wrong benchmark, so we didn't get 4 inches. They only had 3 inches down. They went back and repaired it. There was a meeting set up with Gallagher Asphalt to repair the holes that are out there. They have all the caps on the water lines have to be brought up to elevation. There's an issue. They didn't put any silt fences out there, so now there is a issue with the county water and soil because of that's going into the ditch, which is going into the river. This came from Neil. He said there was no silt fences put on the initial bid. So they brought drawings out, and that's how we discovered the lack of asphalt. We had the same issue when they asphalt around the park here. There was no one watching it. It failed. They had to tear it out, put it back in. Landscaping for erosion blanket starts tomorrow. They put up some of the lights today. I think it would be beneficial for the village to have a board member watch the work as it proceeded and report back. Because there is issues out there right now, and they are addressing them because it was brought up. So Neil had me make a letter up, which he got a copy of it with the 6 points, and Mark Mayotte, which is RE, came out there. And they wanted to make sure that they covered all these issues that we're having out there, so.
You brought up something about the edge too being a little fragile.
It is, they're gonna try to bring the fill while landscaping in closer so it won't break off. Generally, when they put it down, it's supposed to be compacted on an edge, and that wasn't done either. And he said, unfortunately, they weren't here when the asphalt was put down. So, and we do have some cracks and things in it. They are well aware of it, and they're gonna address these problems. So, I just brought a copy of the letter that Mark and Neil both received, and we're gonna take care of it, and they're gonna let me know when Gallagher's out there. Yeah, but I think it would be beneficial if the village had somebody, just not to oversee the work, but just somebody who could look at a set of either placement, bid, or architectural drawings, and that's how we discovered the asphalt. And I asked the question about it. And take care of these things. Even the new manholes that they put in, they didn't put any liners in there to catch the soil. So they said they would take care of that. They would also go ahead through the culverts and jet that out. There is a daily fine from the county for sediment that goes into the ditch out by Love's, which will eventually go into the river. So they're well aware of that. And then there also was an issue with the permits on the permit board, which was put up there for everybody to see. But there was some issues that when they received these permits, some of them were out of date already. So that's all I have.
Ben, is that something that you would like to handle? It seems like you're very knowledgeable. You took the initiative. You've had a meeting with Neil. You've been in contact with them.
That's up to the village board. I mean, I have the time to do it, and I'm familiar with the drawings and what takes place, but that would be the board's decision.
I'd like to make a motion for Ben Detloff to keep an eye on our multi-capital there and check
We
on
can't make
it.
an official motion, it's not on this thing.
How about an emergency motion?
We could take a stay vote if we were still salted, if we'd like.
You can certainly do a straw poll. I don't know if this would fall within meaning of final action insofar as it seems to be directive and it's these purviews of trustees and keeping an eye on, certainly do a straw poll.
You know. Stand up and all in, if it's-
I think it's a good idea, then, if you could, spearhead that.
Well, this is not to critique the work. This is just to report back to the village board with any issues that may come up. Nothing's been signed off on, but when it does get signed off, it's a lot harder to go back and repair things because we're already, it's already been taken care of. So when things are coming up, I'm out that way every day. So I will keep an eye on stuff or any other projects, report back to the village board, and we'll go from there.
I don't think there's particularly a need for a full formal.
So no vote then?
Well, we're in order for him to do that, we can do that just as a trustee.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not gonna be it's just gonna be to report to the board on what's going on in the village as far as work goes. And if there's any questions, then we can address them instead of waiting until there's an issue and then trying to rectify it then. So, all right, thank you.
thank you, Ben.
Robin Drury? I know, I was doing it again, just keep going with. You're good. Law Enforcement Chairman Morgan Warhol.
I just have the August 2023. I wasn't at the last meeting. It was not read, correct?
No.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and read it. That's okay. Oh, neither, that's okay. Police handled a total of 118 calls for the month of August. Breakdown for calls of service, assisting other agencies such as Moments, the state police, the county, 34. Total number of accidents, 9. Ambulance calls, 15. Domestic disturbances, escorts, 12. Disturbances or disorderly conducts, 8, and 6 mental cases.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anything from you? All right, I think that's all we have. I have nothing. We have a motion to adjourn.
Yes, we move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
And I have the.
Yeah, I'll read it. I'll read it. What? Wasn't on the, you did get it? Yeah. Oh, you did?
Oh, I
Put it
did.
on the next.
Did you though? Did you want the one for the cover? Oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.